So I'm here with
Brian.
And you did a talk yesterday. Well, before I say that, I think you now have the record of being the youngest person we've ever had at a kill camp that actually has done a talk. You're 18 right now, right?
Yep.
And you're a senior in high school.
Yep.
So I have to give you credit that I don't think I would have ever done something like this at 18 years of age. So, so that's a good start. So your talk yesterday was called what?
I think it was something like cross-platform .NET framework development, and it was specifically targeted on user interfaces, so specifically GPU accelerated interfaces.
Okay.
So because most platforms now have a GPU or the equivalent of the GPU, something that can accelerate graphics, and not many applications today take advantage of that GPU. And when I was giving the speech and asked, well, how many people have programmed using GLSL or HLSL before, only 2 people raised their hands. So that shows that there's not many people who have prior experience with GPU programming, and that's because a lot of people are afraid of it, which is why one of the reasons why I developed this library, to make it easier to program for the GPU. And it abstracts the complete concept of shaders and accessing the GPU versus the CPU, and thread safety. It abstracts all of that away from the developer so they don't have to worry about that.
And this library that you have this on GitHub,
yep.
Correct? Okay.
And I posted a link on the website.
Okay. So what's the name of the project on GitHub?
3D API.
3D.
I used to have it on SourceForge, and since I didn't allow numbers in the names on SourceForge, it was called DAPI renderer, DAPI renderer, because I couldn't put the 3 in the name.
Huh.
But in GitHub, I was allowed to call it 3D API, so I just called it 3D API. Although on my local computer, it's still called DAPI renderer. But
okay. So given your age, you're 18, it seems like you spend a lot of time. I mean, most people that are my age don't even know what HL, the shader languages and stuff like that are, even though I don't program in that on a day-to-day basis. It's still something I'm tangentially aware of. For somebody of your age to know all that stuff and to dive that deeply into it is quite impressive and not of the norm. So how did you actually get into programming? What sparked that interest in development?
Well, when I was 5, I was experimenting with a DOS computer, my mom's computer, and and
his mom is very innocent.
So I accidentally crashed it. I typed in setup.exe at the DOS prompt because I did a dir. I knew all of the DOS commands back then, and since I was 5, I had a bedtime and I wasn't supposed to be downstairs at that time. So
okay. So all the way back at 5 years old, you already had a really big interest in computers, and it just kept going from there?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then I got 2 old laptops from a teacher at my school that were broken, so I repaired them. They had DOS on them at the time, and I think one of them had Windows 95 on it, so it didn't have a CD-ROM drive. And back then, $90 was, I mean, it's still a lot, but back then, being that I was probably about, 12 would you say at the time I got those? That was a lot more even so than it was now. So I actually bought a $90 CD-ROM drive for these ancient compact, I think they were compact Presario computers that I had, or something like that, but they were compact computers that I had that were really ancient, really unstable. They had a floppy drive, not the floppy drive, but the diskette drive. So.
Yep. Okay. So, last question. Now that you're a senior in high school, what are you looking to do? Are you going to be heading out to college? Are you going to be doing like a comp sci type of degree? Where are you going to be headed?
Well, if possible, I'd like to either go to college or start an internship at Microsoft or work for Microsoft or something like that. So.
Okay. So if you're a Microsoft recruiter, talk to this guy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.